Decluttering helped me overcome depression, and yes, there was a little bit more to it than that, but honestly, decluttering gave me some of my life back, and it continues to do that, but in ways that I never even imagined back when I started doing this. And it even created a whole new life for me. So today I want to talk about the hidden ways that decluttering and the KonMari method, more specifically, can genuinely, drastically change or transform your life. Let's go. Hi guys, it's Laura, and today I am tackling the final decluttering task here in my home office before we get to the fun stuff. And the reason I say fun is because the final part is actually painting. Here's a little sneak peek. But yeah, painting is not fun at all, but I think the outcome will be fun. Anyway, this whole home office redecoration, having a home office that I love, would not have been possible without decluttering. But just before I dive into the decluttering and discussing the hidden benefits thereof, I want to say that this video is a collab with Marissa from Barely Keeping It Together, which honestly pretty much describes exactly how I feel right now. I'm going to talk about her channel a bit more as we go throughout this video, but I will leave all the links to her stuff in the description. Okay, let's dive in. And the first thing I want to tackle is all of this wrapping stuff over here. It's been here since December. It's now May. Okay, so let's talk about those hidden benefits to decluttering now. Like I've already mentioned, it can really help with mental health. So my kind of initial why, the reason that I started decluttering in earnest was because I was suffering from postnatal depression, and the house just started to get out of control. You know, when you have a newborn, things are already messy. You've got a lot of new stuff in the house. You're tired. Your attention is focused on, you know, this new thing in your home. So it's harder to tidy up. But for me, because I was also suffering mentally, as well as, you know, just being physically drained, it became this uphill battle. I did not have the energy, I did not have the motivation. But then it became this vicious cycle, because as my house was starting to get more and more messy, that was taking a toll on my mental health as well. Just looking around and seeing mess everywhere. It was a really tough time. You know, I felt like I had completely lost my identity as an individual. I was a new mother, and because of that, a lot of other things had to take a back seat. You know, I stepped back from my legal career. Obviously, a lot of the housework, you know, my role as a homemaker, that got put on the back burner. And yeah, all of those things, you know, my social life obviously took a hit. Everything just revolved around this new baby, and I lost myself in that. And I had always kind of prided myself, not always, not when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, but at that stage of my life, I was priding myself on the fact that, you know, I had a nice home, I had a comfortable home, I had a tidy home. And when I also lost that, that was kind of a really big blow to me. So when I started hearing about this new KonMari method, I bought the book, I read it, and I decided, you know, this is it. This is how I'm going to take back control of my home. Now, I had already gone through a lot of depression at that stage. I was kind of starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't think if I had started decluttering, I don't think I would have been able to start decluttering at the beginning of it, because like I said, I just did not have the energy, the headspace, the motivation. But as time went on and I started to kind of get back into a little bit of a groove, the KonMari method just stepped in at the right time for me. Now, that was my why back then. It has evolved over the years, and I think my current why might surprise you, but I will get back to that later in the video. You know, back then I just really needed to feel like myself again. As I said, I lost my sense of identity, and what decluttering did was it helped me to recreate my role as a homemaker. By creating some physical space around me, I created breathing space. I started to feel a lot more in control, and when you are suffering from depression, you know, that feeling of not being in control, of not knowing what is real and what is not, you know, what feelings are real and which ones are not, or which ones will pass and which ones won't. That's a very disconcerting place to be. So decluttering helped me feel some control again. And then my why kind of became, can I do this? You know, can I keep going with this? I've actually achieved something. Can I complete the KonMari method? Can I prove to myself that I can do this? How much better will I feel if I keep going? How much more accomplished and proud will I feel? How much better will I feel mentally? You know, how much will I feel like my old self again? And that led me to the next hidden benefit of decluttering. Now, even if you don't suffer from depression, the physical space that you create can allow you to spend more time on a favorite hobby, or maybe even to discover a new one. You know, when your countertops are clean, maybe you might bake more. When a desk or a table is clear, you might craft more. When a couch or an armchair is clear, you might read more. When you create that space, you're creating space for you to live and breathe and create and have fun. It gives you and the people you live with, maybe your family, room to expand a little, you know, room to grow and spread out and not feel so maybe suffocated and confined. It's really awful trying to do anything in a cramped space, whereas when you can spread out a little bit, you feel more comfortable, you feel more relaxed, you feel like you can get stuff done. It feels like your home and your space is working for you and not against you. And you know, the more space that you have for hobbies and fun and doing those things that you want to do, the more you start to incorporate that into your life and intentionally create that life. Because if you have more room for baking, you're going to do it more often. You're going to pull out all of your baking supplies on a more regular basis because now you actually have the space to do that. So while it might kind of start with just getting rid of a few physical items, it actually very quickly becomes about creating this whole life where you're getting rid of everything, like not just physical stuff, but unwanted commitments, you know, maybe draining relationships, etc. Decluttering kind of takes on a life of its own, I guess, and it's not just about, you know, throwing out some t-shirts from your closet, but over time it becomes getting rid of anything that you no longer want. All of that then gives you more and more space for the life you want and the things that you want to be doing. Again, not just necessarily physical space, but that head space, the space in your schedule. By creating space, you start creating a life that you love. You know, I actually started this business out of space that I created by decluttering. Once I cleared off, you know, my desk, once I cleared off the kitchen table, I was able to set my laptop down and, you know, kind of explore things that I wanted to explore and do a little bit of writing and take that time and not just feel that I was curled up in a corner of the couch, you know, like with my laptop on my lap, just trying to push stuff out of the way, but I actually had dedicated space where I could just sit and breathe and be. And then my why became about protecting that space and growing my business and creating this whole new life. It became about quitting my legal career to focus on this one where I could, you know, be more flexible with my time and stay home with my daughter and not be, you know, stuck in a courtroom all day long. But I could actually do something that I loved while being home with the people that I loved. Not loved, past tense, just, you know, speaking about that time back then. But I was able to create that space that was just for me and then start this new, like, fun, exciting career for myself. And that is what decluttering allows you to do. It helps you to connect or even reconnect with a passion, with something fun, with something that you love to do. It helps you to create a fun, organized, productive space. That is actually what Marissa is really great at. You know, I'm really good at focusing on all of the decluttering side of things, getting things out, but my forte does not lie with like organizational solutions and interior design, you know, having everything looking great. Whereas that is what Marissa is really great at. So if you have decluttered a space, if you have tidied it up and now you're wondering how best to set it up in a way that works for you and suits your needs, maybe you're wondering what are the best baskets to buy to store the stuff that's left, Marissa is your gal for that. Again, I will link her channel. But that's the thing, you will start to discover or rediscover things that you had forgot about, things that are buried, you know, beneath other things, beneath other clutter. And I'm not necessarily talking about physical stuff, but also, you know, figurative stuff. Rediscovering old passions. You know, I always used to love to write, and then when I had that space for myself, I sat down and started writing again, and it became a blog, and then it became this whole business. So it's about giving yourself that space to be creative and to create something new, to explore your creativity and see what you can make for yourself. Because when your wings aren't clipped by clutter, you are then free to kind of reach new heights and explore new areas and new avenues. Is that a bit cheesy? That's probably a bit cheesy, but you know what I'm trying to say. When you're not confined by clutter, you have freedom to create and to breathe and to make and just to live. Another thing that I didn't realize would be such a big benefit is the time you save. Yes, I knew I would save some time, but I did not realize it would be so much. So apparently you can cut down on your cleaning time by as much as 40%. That's almost half of your cleaning time. I mean, listen, sign me up for some of that. And look, I'm not saying that your house will never be messy again. Of course it will be messy. You know, you still live there, but it's just going to be much easier to put things away. You know, yes, your kids will still pull out toys. Yes, you will still pull out stuff for cooking and preparing meals, but it's just going to be that much easier to put it back. And I do find as well, and I have to say actually, in Instagram stories recently, I have seen other parents talk about this, and that is that when kids have fewer toys, they are much more focused and engaged with the toys that they do have. I find that when kids have lots of toys, and this is my own personal experience, they just pull everything out. You know, they move from one thing to another, and it just becomes a game of, can I, you know, play with everything today? Can I take everything out? Whereas when they have fewer toys, they're much more intentional with their playtime. And you know, the same is kind of true for us grown-ups as well, because how many times have you pulled everything out, you know, because you couldn't find something, or you pulled all of your clothes out of the closet, wardrobe, drawer, wherever, trying to find an outfit that you actually liked or a top that fit you or whatever. You know, when you have fewer things, and the things that you do have are things that you love, that fit you well, that are useful or whatever, you don't get to that stage where you spend lots of time pulling tons of things out and then having to put it all back. And because everything has been kind of assigned a home, it has a really quick, easy place to go back to. You know, you're not just kind of trying to shove it in somewhere. You're not opening a cupboard and then everything is falling out on top of you. And as well as that, after you declutter, because you have kind of consciously and recently assigned everything a space, it's much easier to remember where everything goes and where everything is. So less time cleaning, less time searching, less time putting things away. It is incredible how much time decluttering will save you. Okay, so do you want to hear my current why? It's a little bit silly, I will say that. But my current why, the reason that I am still decluttering is, in all honesty, because I want to see how far I can go. I want to see how far I can push it. Each time I declutter, I save myself so much space, I save myself so much time, I am more productive, I feel better. And the more you declutter, the easier it gets. You know, in the beginning it might be difficult to part with something, but when you get rid of something and then a few weeks pass and you realize, hey, I haven't even missed that thing, it becomes easier then, because you realize the stuff you're getting rid of, you don't spare a second thought for down the line. Your life just goes on, and that makes it much easier to kind of proceed with the whole journey, and it builds up your confidence and your ability to kind of just know that you'll be okay without all of that stuff. So I kind of want to see how little I can live with. Now, not to the point where I'm miserable, not to the point where I feel deprived or anything. I still love stuff, but just to see where is that kind of cut-off point for me. How little can I live with while still feeling, you know, abundant and fulfilled and satisfied and happy in my home? Listen, I will never be the type to live out of a suitcase, but at the same time, I wonder how many people who do that thought they would never be the type either. Like I said, I'm not interested in feeling deprived, but I have decluttered well over half of my belongings, like well over, in the past 6 years since I started the KonMari Method, and I'm kind of curious to see where I will be in another 6 years. Maybe I will be living out of a suitcase by then. This office, I have a very specific why for this space, a very personal why. And I will be sharing that in a few weeks when I do the final reveal. So make sure that you are subscribed for that. Remember to check out Marissa's channel. She has done a video for you on her why, and also ways that you can upgrade your space so that it works for you. Like I said, I can teach you how to declutter all day long, but the design thereafter, that is beyond me. So Marissa's channel is the cherry on top for that. Until next time, go raibh míle maith agaibh. Agus feicimid mé sibh go luath. Slán!